On her birthday, Daisy flipped the table of food I had painstakingly prepared, all for the sake of her brother-in-law, Evan, before storming out. I didn't chase after her to explain and apologize like I always did when she got angry. Instead, I grabbed a cloth and a mop and slowly started cleaning up the mess on the floor. 6 hours later, Evan sent me a message trying to make peace. Daisy didn't mean to flip the table. She was just worried about me because I'm sensitive to ginger and scallions. She only gets mad when you don't remember what she says because she loves you so much. She's at the club now, drinking and talking about breaking up with you. You should hurry over, say you're sorry, and bring her home. He even attached a video. In the lively private room, Evan's hand was tightly clasped around Daisy's as she held her wine glass. They were pressed together in an incredibly intimate pose, and his voice was low and gentle as he tried to console her. Daisy, stop drinking. Ben didn't mean for this to happen. I'll have him apologize to you right now. Just make up with him. Daisy scoffed. Even if he apologizes, I'll never forgive him. I've had enough of this life. We're done. I'm breaking up with Ben. I stared at the video of Evan and Daisy clinging to each other for a long moment before typing on the screen. An apology won't be necessary. Please tell Daisy for me that her wish is granted. We're done. Every single one of my arguments and cold wars with Daisy was because of Evan. Evan was supposed to be Daisy's brother-in-law. Daisy's sister had a sudden accident a week before her wedding to Evan and ended up in a coma. Evan didn't leave the family just because Daisy's sister was in a vegetative state. Because of his devotion to her sister, Daisy always took special care of Evan. She gave him free access to all her properties and knew his habits and preferences like the back of her hand. She knew he had a sweet tooth, hated ginger and scallions, and that milk upset his stomach. She knew he liked a minimalist style with blue-gray tones and enjoyed growing all sorts of ferns. She also knew he was afraid of thunder and lightning, so on every stormy night, whenever Evan called, she would rush over to be with him. And it wasn't just for thunderstorms. Whenever Evan needed her, for whatever reason, Daisy was just one phone call away. I used to feel sorry for Evan and wanted to help Daisy take care of him. But then I started to notice that Evan seemed to be taking advantage of her kindness. His reasons for calling her away became more and more ridiculous. A leg cramp, a stomachache, a paper cut on his finger. If Evan were just a teenager, I could understand Daisy's level of care. But he was 2 years older than both of us. He wasn't disabled or unable to take care of himself. And even if he were, that's no excuse to monopolize someone else's girlfriend without any boundaries, right? Daisy and I started to argue about how much Evan was seeping into our lives. We started having problems. Our first big fight was on Valentine's Day. Daisy brought Evan along to our romantic dinner. The gift she gave me was identical to the one she gave him. Evan liked blue-gray tones. I was indifferent to those cool colors. I didn't understand why Daisy would give me a gift I couldn't care less about. Evan just smiled gently. Daisy and I picked them out at the mall together. She knows I love this design, so she even chose the wrapping paper in blue-gray. I stared at the blue-gray tie clip and the matching wallet in front of me, a knot forming in my stomach. It was Valentine's Day. What was the meaning of Daisy giving Evan a gift? Even if it was on behalf of her sister, what about me? Daisy knew all of Evan's preferences but knew nothing about mine, her actual boyfriend. Was she just fobbing me off with something Evan would like? What did that say? The sweet happiness I'd felt was instantly replaced by a bitter taste in my mouth. My appetite vanished. In the middle of dinner, Evan suddenly said he felt unwell. Daisy immediately panicked and insisted on taking him to the hospital, yelling at me for driving too slowly. It turned out Evan had gastroenteritis. The dishes I had ordered contained something he couldn't eat. Daisy was furious. She said if anything happened to Evan, she would never forgive me. She blocked me on my messaging apps over it. To be honest, I felt wronged too. Yes, I had ordered the food that night, but nobody told me Evan would be there playing third wheel. Besides, isn't he a grown man? Doesn't he know what he can and can't eat? Even though I felt wronged, I loved Daisy, and Evan really did get sick. In the end, I was the one who had to apologize and admit I was wrong before she would make up with me. We made up, But Evan kept inserting himself between us again and again. It was like he had a GPS tracker on her. He always knew what we were doing and would always find some excuse to ruin our dates. I was getting tired of it, but Daisy always swore she just felt sorry for him and that helping him was like helping her sister. Torn, I forgave Daisy's favoritism toward him time and time again. On our 4th anniversary, I planned a special dinner. I lit candles, opened a bottle of red wine, and was ready to celebrate with Daisy. Just as we were exchanging gifts, Evan showed up uninvited. Seeing the custom cufflinks Daisy gave me, Evan's eyes turned red. He choked up and said that Daisy's sister had once promised to give him a similar pair. In the end, Daisy gave the cufflinks she had custom made for me to Evan. I had wanted those cufflinks for a long time. I couldn't understand why Daisy would just give my gift to Evan, right in front of me, and I couldn't understand how Evan had the nerve to take a gift that was meant for me. I was so disappointed and angry at Daisy's blatant favoritism that I gave her the silent treatment for a week. Daisy thought I was being petty. They were just a pair of cufflinks, she could just buy me another pair. But I didn't think I was in the wrong. I had wanted those for a very, very long time. If Evan wanted cufflinks, he could buy them himself. I would have even bought them for him. What right did he have to take the ones Daisy gave me? During this Cold War, Daisy blocked me again. And while we weren't speaking, Evan would send me messages every day, urging me to make up with her. He would earnestly advise me to be the bigger person and apologize to Daisy. And whenever he sent these messages, he would always include videos of him and Daisy spending time alone together. In the videos, they were traveling, eating, and shopping together, acting as close as a couple. Seeing those pictures and videos he sent, I was so angry I could have coughed up blood. I don't think any man could stand his girlfriend being that intimate with another guy right after a fight. Could he? Even though Evan was technically her brother-in-law, it still made me sick to my stomach. I thought about cutting things off with Daisy for good. Just as I made up my mind, Evan sent me another peacemaking message and a video. He said Daisy was sick. In the video, Daisy was lying in a hospital bed in a robe, a pained expression on her face, while Evan was gently wiping her face and neck with a towel. Seeing that video made me incredibly angry, but then I saw the long scar on her waist, and my heart softened. That scar was because of me. A few thugs cornered me on my way home from school once. Daisy jumped in, taking on all 5 of them, and ended up with broken ribs. The scar on her waist was proof that she had once protected me. Before Evan came along, Daisy had been so good to me. Thinking about our past, I caved and went to the hospital to make up with her, ending the Cold War. After that fight, Daisy proposed to me. She said I was the only one she loved and that she only took care of Evan out of pity. Daisy said she couldn't imagine life without me and wanted to marry me so we could be together every day. We started planning the wedding, getting engaged, writing invitations, preparing everything we'd need. As we were getting things ready, Evan, as always, popped up to cause trouble, finding all sorts of ways to get Daisy's attention. The fact that he'd call her over for every little headache and fever made me suspicious. But I didn't think too much of it. Then, on the day we were supposed to try on our wedding attire, Daisy never showed up. I waited alone at the shop for 6 hours. In the end, I went home without even trying anything on. Daisy finally found time to message me that night. She said Evan had a stomachache and they'd run all sorts of tests at the hospital but couldn't find the cause. She said he was in a lot of pain, so she stayed with him and forgot to let me know. Probably feeling guilty for standing me up, Daisy suggested we go to City Hall the next day to get our marriage license first. She said she was at the hospital with Evan now, but that I should meet her at City Hall at 9 in the morning sharp. I didn't take her words seriously. Maybe it was because I'd been disappointed by her standing me up too many times. The next morning, I didn't go to City Hall at 9 as we'd agreed. I went to work instead. The morning was busy, and I didn't even look at my phone. During my lunch break, I glanced at my phone and saw a message from Daisy sent 10 minutes earlier. "I'm sorry, Ben. Something came up with Evan. I can't make it to City Hall to get the license." I read her message and a corner of my mouth twitched up. Good thing I wasn't stupid enough to go wait at City Hall. Can you imagine how agonizing it would be to wait 4 hours for her? I thought about how often Evan seemed to have emergencies while Daisy and I were planning our wedding. It was always chest pain, a sprained ankle, or his dog running away. He could always find a reason to call her away, and Daisy's willingness to drop everything for him felt like a thorn in my side. I started to wonder if I'd made a mistake by agreeing to marry her. If Evan was going to be calling her away anytime, anywhere after we were married, what was the point of getting married at all? I didn't reply to Daisy. After lunch, I went back to work. For the next 3 days, Daisy didn't contact me, and I didn't contact her. It was like we'd suddenly cut off all communication. Well, not entirely. I could still see what she was up to. She appeared on Evan's social media feed. His stomachache was gone, but now his mom was sick, and Daisy was busy taking her to the doctor. In Evan's posts, Daisy was running around nonstop. She covered all of his mother's medical expenses and even took him shopping and on trips after his mother recovered. I remembered how she always had an excuse to be busy whenever my parents came to visit, leaving me to handle everything. A heavy feeling settled in my chest. Yeah, I definitely rushed into this engagement. A week later, Daisy showed up at my office building holding a bouquet of 999 roses. She handed me the flowers, sincerely apologized, and had booked a table for a romantic candlelight dinner. She held my hand and reminisced about all our good times together. I'm a sentimental person. As she talked about our past, the complaints and the desire to break up that had been building inside me just died on my lips. Life went on blandly. Soon it was Daisy's birthday. Daisy said she wanted to spend it alone with me. She said she missed my cooking. I'd almost forgotten, but it had been nearly 3 months since I'd last made her breakfast or dinner. I didn't really believe we'd spend the day alone. Based on past experience, I was sure Evan would show up. Even so, on her birthday, I still prepared all of Daisy's favorite dishes, baked a cake, opened a bottle of red wine, arranged flowers, and had a gift ready. Sure enough, when Daisy arrived, she wasn't alone. Evan was with her. The sight of him made my eye twitch. I had a bad feeling about the night, and my sixth sense was spot on. Just as I pulled out the birthday gift I got for Daisy, Evan pulled out his gift for her too. We had gotten her the exact same gift, a watch from the same brand. A watch between a couple has a special meaning. I had ordered this watch for Daisy 6 months ago. I gave it to her because we were in love, and I wanted her to think of me and feel my presence whenever she looked at it. But Evan was her brother-in-law. What was his deal giving his sister-in-law a watch? And even if he did, why did it have to be the exact same one as mine? What was he trying to pull? I was furious. Felt like I'd swallowed a fly. This time, I didn't hold back. I directly asked Evan what he meant by giving Daisy the same gift as me. Faced with my question, Evan's eyes instantly welled up with tears. He said he just thought the watch was nice and bought it as a birthday present for Daisy, without giving it much thought. But this watch wasn't sold in stores, it had to be special ordered. I remembered that Evan was with me when I was picking it out, which meant he was lying through his teeth. My direct questioning left him speechless. He choked back a sob and left. Daisy chased after him. After about half an hour of coaxing, she returned with a red-eyed Evan. Daisy was pulling him back by the hand, their fingers intertwined as they walked in. His eyes were still red, and Daisy was gently consoling him. Don't be mad. He doesn't have a filter. I'll make him apologize to you later. The way Daisy was comforting Evan looked like a girlfriend consoling her boyfriend. I'd only ever seen Daisy dote on Evan in the photos and videos he sent me. Seeing it in person now made me feel sick to my stomach. I didn't know what I had done wrong that required an apology. Watching Evan being coddled by Daisy filled me with disgust. But I remembered it was her birthday, so I suppressed my annoyance, set out the bowls and chopsticks, and told them it was time to eat. Daisy served Evan, dishing up his food and filling his soup bowl. The careful way she treated him made my stomach clench. I kept my head down and shoveled rice into my mouth, the sound of their conversation buzzing in my ears. The disgust was growing. I knew I couldn't take it anymore. I had to have a serious talk with Daisy. As soon as dinner was over, we were going to talk. Just as I was thinking this, Evan, who had been speaking softly to Daisy, suddenly started to gag. Daisy immediately asked with concern, "What's wrong?" "Scallions. There are scallions in the fish." "Ben, why did you put scallions in the fish? You know Evan can't eat them." Hearing Daisy's accusatory tone, I slammed my chopsticks down. "Isn't it normal to put scallions in fish?" "But Evan can't eat scallions. What does that have to do with me? Did I know he was coming today? If he can't eat scallions, he can just not eat the fish, can't he?" I rarely used such a harsh tone. Daisy was stunned for a moment. Then her anger flared up even more. "What's with your attitude?" "This is my attitude." Seeing us go at it, Evan's eyes welled up again. "Don't fight because of me. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. Ben, I know you don't like me. I won't bother you and Daisy anymore." I sneered. "You'd better mean that." Daisy pointed a finger at me. "Apologize. Ben, you apologize to Evan right now. And if I don't, then we're breaking up." "As you wish." The moment the words left my mouth, Daisy flipped the entire table. The dishes I had worked so hard on, the cake, the red wine, all of it smashed onto the floor. Hot soup splashed onto me, stinging my skin. A shard from a wine bottle cut my calf. I heard Evan cry out in pain. "It hurts. It's so hot." Daisy immediately helped Evan up and rushed him out the door. I looked down at the cut on my leg, blood steadily flowing from the wound, and a bitter smile formed on my lips. It was crystal clear who was more important to Daisy. I found the first aid kit, treated my own wound, and then started cleaning up the wreckage. As I cleaned, memories of my time with Daisy flashed through my mind like a movie. Daisy had been good to me, but that kindness was conditional. When Evan wasn't causing trouble, she was perfect. But as soon as he showed up, she would always choose him over me. I didn't want to be the perpetual runner-up. I wanted to be the only one. My mind was made up. That's when Evan's message came through. Seeing him nestled so intimately against Daisy, hearing her casually talk about our relationship and wanting to break up with me, I didn't feel as sad as I expected. I typed out each word on my phone. "As she wishes. We're breaking up." After replying, I started packing my things. The apartment I was living in was bought by Daisy, but I had designed the interior. Every piece of furniture, from the big items like the sofa, bed, and cabinets, down to the small decorations and tissue boxes, had been carefully chosen by me. Now that we were breaking up, there was no reason to leave them behind. I wasn't like Daisy, a rich girl born with a silver spoon. I was just a regular guy. I had bought the furniture to match her tastes. It was expensive and cost me a lot of money. I couldn't just walk away and leave it all. To cut my losses, I listed all the carefully selected furniture for sale online. The price was less than half of what I originally paid, which stung, but it was the best way to minimize the damage. In our 5 years together, Daisy had given me a lot of things. Since we were breaking up, I obviously couldn't take them. But I could take back what I gave her. I sorted all the gifts she gave me into categories, packed them into boxes. Then I listed the bags and cufflinks I'd bought for her on a secondhand marketplace. The watch I was going to give her tonight was now a lost cause, and I couldn't return it, so I listed that online too. I also called the wedding planning company to cancel the wedding. Daisy and I had bought each other wedding rings. Since we were breaking up, there was no need for them. So I called to return the ring I'd bought for her. Dealing with all these miscellaneous tasks took me several days. Daisy never came back, not even once. She didn't send me a single message. I didn't even have to check. I knew she had blocked me, just like all the other times. Since she chose to block me, there was no need to tell her we were breaking up in person. Evan would surely pass the message along for me. While there was no news from Daisy, Evan sent me messages every day telling me to apologize. It was the same old routine, accompanied by various videos of him and Daisy being intimate. Daisy had bought him an expensive watch to make up for things and even took him on a trip to France. They strolled through lavender fields and watched the sunset from the Eiffel Tower. Watching the videos Evan sent, I didn't feel much pain. Instead, it confirmed a suspicion I'd had for a while. Evan had feelings for Daisy. And as for Daisy's feelings for him, based on the videos and photos, it seemed to be mutual. So, my stepping aside was exactly what they wanted. My heart felt heavy, but once I thought it through, I felt a sense of relief. At least I could get out now before it was too late. On Wednesday, it was our mutual friend Mike's birthday. I bought a gift and went to the party. When I reached the door of the private room, I could hear voices inside. Someone was asking Daisy, "Daisy, what's going on with you and Ben? I haven't seen you two together in a while." Daisy replied, "We broke up." "What? Weren't you guys getting married? People can get divorced after they're married. Isn't it normal to break up before you even get there?" Even though I had decided to make a clean break, hearing her say it so casually still stung a little. Mike asked her, "Are you sure you want to break up with Ben? You guys have been together for so many years. Unless it was something major, I don't think you need to go this far." Then I heard Evan's gentle voice. "It's not serious enough to break up. They're just having a little disagreement. When Ben gets here, I'll have a good talk with him. He loves you so much, Daisy. As long as he's willing to apologize, you should forgive him this time." Daisy's friends all chimed in to persuade her. "Ben's so good-natured, and he loves you so much. He'll definitely apologize. We'll help talk to him later." Daisy seemed pleased. "Well, it depends on his attitude. If he's willing to admit he's wrong and apologize, I suppose I can forgive him. But if he's stubborn, then he can't blame me. After all, the wedding is just a few days away." The implication was that I was desperate to marry her, but she wasn't in any hurry. Ha! A sarcastic smile spread across my face as I pushed open the door. The moment I appeared, the room fell silent. Mike stood up with a smile to greet me. I gave him his gift and was about to leave. But Mike, trying to play peacemaker, grabbed me and tried to make me sit next to Daisy. Seeing this, Evan, who was sitting right next to Daisy, didn't even bother to move. And Daisy just sat there with her arms crossed, looking smug, as if she was certain I wouldn't refuse to sit by her and beg for forgiveness. I felt sick to my stomach. Some things had to be said to their faces. Daisy and I have already broken up. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to sit next to her. In the future, please don't ever associate me with her again. Thanks. After I spoke, the entire room went dead silent. Daisy's expression instantly turned cold. For the rest of the night, she just kept drinking, while Evan softly urged her to drink less. I ate my fruitcake and didn't give them a single glance. Partway through, I got a call. It was someone from the secondhand marketplace asking about the watch. I stepped outside to take the call. The person asked about the condition of the watch, and after confirming that the packaging was unopened, they decided to buy it. That watch cost me a year's salary. I ended up selling it at a 10% loss. Even though I lost money, at least I got most of it back. After hanging up, I was about to go back inside when I bumped into Evan, who was rushing over. He had a fake smile on his face. "Ben, you've been stubborn for so many days. Are you sure you're not going to apologize to Daisy?" I looked at him coldly. "You really want me to go apologize to her? Of course. I hope you two can make up. But every single one of our arguments is because of you. If you really wanted us to be okay, why do you always have to cause trouble? If you don't like scallions, you don't have to eat them. No one forced you to eat that fish. And I don't recall anyone inviting you to crash my birthday celebration for Daisy. You're a taken man. What's your deal buying a watch for an unmarried woman? Your sister-in-law, no less? I think you know exactly what you're doing. And another thing, you and Daisy are always together. I've never in my life seen a brother-in-law and sister-in-law who hug and hold hands without any sense of propriety. What are you trying to say? Are you accusing me and Daisy of something? Why are you in such a hurry to deny it? I'm not finished. Daisy seems to know an awful lot about your digestive issues. Are you sure your relationship is just brother-in-law and sister-in-law and not something else?" Before Evan could reply, I opened my phone and pointed to a post he made yesterday showing Daisy buying him probiotics and ginger tea. "Does Daisy know you posted this and set the privacy so only I could see it? Honestly, you're the first two-faced, manipulative snake I've ever met. It's disgusting. Please stop pretending to be a peacemaker while secretly trying to provoke me. I'm not interested in your twisted drama with Daisy. If you like her, just get with her already and leave me out of it. With everything out in the open, Evan's expression changed. The act was over. Since you already know, then I hope you'll stick to your word and stay far away from Daisy. Don't come crawling back. I scoffed. And who are you to say that to me? Her new boyfriend? As far as I know, you're still technically engaged to her sister. So, are you trying to get with both sisters? Evan's face turned a ghastly shade of pale. How could you say something so vile? Seeing his teary-eyed act just disgusted me. Cut it out. I'm not Daisy. A few crocodile tears won't work on me. By the way, I've always been curious about something. Does Daisy know you're in love with her? With his cover blown, Evan stared at me with pure hatred. Of course she knows. Why else do you think she chose me over you time and time again? Fine. Then I wish you two a lifetime of happiness. I had already given Mike his gift, so there was no reason to go back into the party. I sent Mike a text saying something came up and left the club. Just as I stepped outside, I heard rapid footsteps behind me. A hand grabbed my shoulder, and Daisy's furious voice rang out. Ben, you've got some nerve. Who gave you the right to hit Evan? Apologize to him right now or else. What the hell? When did I hit Evan? I shook off her hand. I don't know what you're talking about. Still denying it. I really underestimated you. You act so gentle and harmless, but underneath you're this vicious and unreasonable. You were just jealous that I'm nice to Evan and take care of him, so you got angry and started insulting him and then you hit him, didn't you? I found it hilarious. You're overthinking things. I'm not as pathetic as you think. We've already broken up. I would never do something like that over you. Just so you know. Are you daring to say you didn't curse at Evan? I have an audio recording of you insulting him. Ben, my patience is limited. Apologize to him right now, and I might forgive you. I'm telling you, what you've done has crossed my line. I will never marry you. A malicious and irrational person like you doesn't deserve to be my husband. If you dare not to apologize, our wedding is off. Got it, I replied calmly. The whole story about me insulting and hitting him was obviously a lie concocted by Evan. Since I had no intention of having anything to do with Daisy ever again, I told her, word by word, I'm not going to apologize for anything. As for the wedding you mentioned, you must have a short memory. We've already broken up, so we couldn't possibly get married, right? I watched Daisy's face turn from red to white, then to a sickly green. She glared at me as if I were the worst person on earth. Ben, since you're choosing the hard way, don't blame me. I'm telling you, assault is illegal. I'm calling the police right now. I just found it laughable. Daisy was actually willing to send me to jail to protect Evan. She really must love him. Since she was so eager to stand up for him, I'd let her. I said slowly, then call the police and let them handle it. Just as I finished speaking, Evan suddenly darted out. He looked completely different from the smug person he was moments ago. There was a clear handprint on his face. He grabbed Daisy's hand. Daisy, Ben didn't mean it. Just let it go. I looked at this pathetic act and found it ridiculous. Mr. Brown, are you sure I actually hit you? Evan didn't answer, he just started crying. His act was nauseating. Trying to frame me, thinking I was a pushover. I said clearly, Ms. White, Mr. Brown, just a reminder, the club has security cameras. We can just check the footage to see if I hit him or not. The moment I said that, Evan's face changed. He grabbed Daisy's hand and cried, Daisy, please don't do this to Ben. How am I supposed to face anyone after this? It's okay if I'm a little wronged. Let's just drop it. I'm begging you. Okay? Hearing this, Daisy looked at me furiously. Ben, what more do you want? Why are you being so difficult? Is it that hard to apologize when you've done something wrong? Of course it's not hard. But why should I apologize for something I didn't do? I didn't want to waste any more breath on them. Ms. White, I've said it before. You and Mr. Brown can call the police. Neither of them seemed inclined to do so, and I was done playing along. Just then, a patrol car drove by. I waved. The police are here. Let's go file a report. Before I could even move, Evan collapsed into Daisy's arms. Daisy frantically called his name a few times, then shoved me hard. Ben, I'm telling you, if anything happens to Evan, I will never let you go. She pushed me so hard I fell to the ground, scraping my arms and legs. By the time I got up, Daisy was already helping Evan into a car and driving away. Those two psychos were truly disgusting. I limped to a nearby pharmacy to treat my scrapes, then took a cab to my new place. I washed up, got into bed, and fell asleep quickly. I was woken up in the middle of the night by my phone ringing. I groggily picked it up and saw it was Evan calling. What was this lunatic up to now? I hung up and was about to go back to sleep when a video came through. In a dimly lit room, Daisy was lying on a bed, seemingly wearing only a robe. The scar on her waist was faintly visible in the shadows. Evan opened the door carrying a cup. He gently nudged Daisy. "Daisy, time to drink your hangover soup." With her eyes closed, Daisy let Evan lift her head and help her drink the soup before lying back down. The video must have been edited, because the scene suddenly changed. Daisy was clinging tightly to Evan. He was pushing her away, his voice low. "Daisy, Daisy, it's me, Evan. I'm not Ben. Look clearly." The video ended with the sound of something tearing, followed by a muffled ah. It was a soft, seductive sound, one that I knew meant something. So, Daisy and Evan were sleeping together, and he sent this to me specifically to provoke me? A wave of nausea hit me, and I couldn't help but retch. Daisy's perspective. Daisy had never been this angry. The wedding was just around the corner, and Ben was actually fighting with her over a stupid watch. All she did was show a little pity and take care of Evan. Did he really need to get so jealous over nothing? She'd been giving Ben the cold shoulder for days, waiting for him to come and apologize like he always did. But he didn't. A sense of panic started to creep in, making her feel irritated with everything. Because she had blocked Ben, she found herself checking her phone constantly. Every time it rang, she'd glance at it, hoping to see that he had added her back. This went on until their mutual friend's birthday. She was sure Ben would be at the party. This was the longest they'd ever gone without talking since they started dating. Daisy was desperate to see him. She was confident he would make up with her. She just never imagined that things wouldn't go according to her plan. Ben didn't apologize like everyone said he would. Even when their friends tried to push him to sit next to her to patch things up, he flat out announced that they had broken up. Hearing Ben say that in front of everyone pushed Daisy to the brink of fury. What was his problem? She was giving him an out. What more did he want? Embarrassing her in front of so many people by announcing their breakup. Let's see how he tries to walk that back later. She swore she wouldn't be the one to give in. If he wanted to be stubborn, let him. When the wedding was truly canceled, it would be too late for regrets. Actually, Daisy had come prepared that night. In her purse, she had a custom-made ring for Ben. Her plan was to slip it on his finger the moment he apologized. She had also secretly had a new tuxedo made to his measurements. It was to make up for ditching him at the tux fitting the other day. As soon as Ben gave in, she was going to take him to try it on. She could already picture how handsome he would look in it. The one thing she never imagined was that Ben wouldn't cooperate, that he would dare to announce their breakup in public. A fire was building inside Daisy. She kept drinking, constantly watching Ben from the corner of her eye. Ben had a smile on his face the whole time, acting like nothing was wrong. He didn't even look at her. The more nonchalant he acted, the worse Daisy felt. Was Ben really going to break up with her? No way. Who the hell agreed to break up with him? He loved her so much. They had already set a wedding date. He would never give up on her. She was such a catch. Where would Ben find a woman better than her if he left? She convinced herself to calm down, but her mood was terrible, and she drank one glass after another. Evan, sitting next to her, noticed her unhappiness and whispered, "I'll go talk to Ben in a bit. Don't worry, I'll make sure you two make up. Leave it to me." Ben was just jealous that she was taking care of Evan, right? If Evan explained things, he would probably stop being so difficult. The one thing Daisy never expected was that Ben and Evan would get into a fight. She was shocked to see Evan stumble back into the room, his face swollen and his hair a mess. Evan cried and said Ben had hit him. He even played a recording of Ben for her. Ben thought she and Evan were having an affair? How could he be so disgusting? Daisy was absolutely furious. She stormed out to find Ben and stand up for Evan. Her intention was just to have Ben back down a little, and then she would let the whole thing slide. They would go back to how they were. But she never thought Ben would be so completely disrespectful, even threatening to call the police. He was even going to flag down the patrol car. Daisy felt like Ben had just stomped all over her pride. Damn him! Was he pushing his luck because he thought she was being too lenient? Did he know she would never actually let him go to the police station, so he was using it against her? She had to admit he had her cornered. To keep things from escalating, she used Evan's fainting spell as an excuse to get him out of there. Turned out Evan was fine. He woke up not long after they got in the car. So they never went to the hospital. Daisy dropped Evan off at his place, still seething. Ben's change in behavior scared her. This needed to be resolved and fast. Daisy sat on the living room sofa, her mind in a turmoil, while Evan wept beside her. It's all my fault. I'm so useless. My health is so poor, and it made Ben misunderstand. What should we do now? I'll go to Ben and beg him not to break up with you. It hasn't been easy for you two to get to this point. I'll go find him tomorrow. I'll get on my knees if I have to. I'll beg him to make up with you. In the past, hearing Evan say things like that would make Daisy comfort him. But right now, she had no desire to. She just felt annoyed. It was all because of Evan that she and Ben were in this mess. If Ben really wanted to break up with her, what would she do? Part of her was terrified he would actually leave her, while another part tried desperately to convince herself it wasn't possible. Ben would never leave her. He loved her too much. She had been injured saving his life, and he was a complete softie. If she had to, she would be the one to swallow her pride and apologize. Daisy knew how much Ben loved her. She had been seriously injured for him. He was the person she would protect with her life. Daisy suddenly remembered the last time they had a fight. Ben only came to her to make up after he saw that she was sick. If that's what it took, she would do it again. She'd make herself sick to soften him up. Daisy opened the liquor cabinet, took out a bottle and started drinking, one glass after another. She wasn't actually drunk, just conscious enough to put on a show of feeling sick and stumbling to her bed. Evan made her some hangover soup and brought it to her. She drank it, then she lay back down. She could feel that Evan seemed to be filming her with his phone while he was helping her drink. He was probably planning to send the video to Ben to make him feel sorry for her. She played along, letting him film and then lay down again. When Ben saw her this drunk, he would come to see her, right? With that uncertain thought, she drifted into a heavy sleep. She didn't know how long she slept, but she started to feel hot. She wanted some water. As she struggled to sit up, she felt a solid body next to her. A jolt of excitement went through her. Had Ben come to see her? She could smell the cologne he always wore. He was cupping her face, his tongue gently trying to part her lips. The familiar scent made Daisy ecstatic. In her joy, she didn't think too much. Her body's reaction took over. Ben guided her hand, moving it from top to bottom, finally resting it on an intimate spot. Waking up the next morning, Daisy instinctively turned to look at the other side of the bed. Ben wasn't there. So, was she hallucinating? Ben hadn't come at all last night? It was all just a fantasy? Annoyed, she got out of bed and opened the door, coming face to face with a radiant Evan. Daisy, still grumpy from waking up, asked, "Did anyone come over last night?" Evan shook his head. "No, why?" So Ben really hadn't come. She had imagined it. Daisy was furious. She was here tying herself in knots over him, and he didn't seem to care at all. How could he be so cold? She went back to her room to wash up and change, planning to head out. Evan poked his head out of the kitchen. "I made breakfast. You should eat before you go." Daisy was in no mood for breakfast. She was too annoyed. She ignored him, opened the door, and strode out. Once in her car, she sat for a while before finally picking up her phone and unblocking Ben. She opened their chat window. She typed, deleted, and retyped for half an hour before finally settling on a sentence. "I need that blue tie. Can you drop it off for me sometime later? It's urgent." When she hit send, a red exclamation mark appeared. "This person is not your friend." Daisy froze. So Ben had blocked her too? They had fought so many times, and it was always her who blocked him. He had never blocked her before. The fact that he had done it this time was unacceptable to Daisy. How dare he block her? Her hands were shaking with anger. She went to her contacts, found his number, and dialed. She tried several times, but it was always busy. Was he really that busy? After dialing his number nearly 10 times, it finally dawned on Daisy. Ben hadn't just blocked her on the app, he had blocked her phone number too. How dare he? Fury propelled Daisy to start the car, and she sped towards Ben's office. Ben's perspective. After seeing the video of Daisy and Evan in bed, I blocked and deleted her. I thought we had mutually agreed to a breakup and would go our separate ways. So I was surprised to see her at my office building. Daisy had business dealings with my boss, so when I saw her, I assumed she was there for a meeting. An ex should be like a ghost, never to be seen or heard from again. So, I walked past her into the elevator without any expression. I had worked my way up to my current position at this company through my own efforts. I made $150,000 a year, not a massive amount, but certainly not small. I liked my job. If nothing went wrong, I was willing to stay here for the rest of my career. I never expected my boss's secretary to call me into his office. My boss, who had always been friendly to me, motioned for me to sit. Ben, did you and Daisy have a fight? It wasn't a fight. We broke up. Is that so? Why would you break up? Daisy is a young, successful woman, and you two seemed good together. If you can salvage it, you should try. I'll give you a few days off. Take some time to clear your head, and go talk to her. Was my boss telling me to get back together with Daisy? Since when was he so involved in my personal life? I cut him off. We've broken up for good. We're not getting back together. Seeing my firm attitude, my boss hesitated for a moment before saying slowly, Ben, I have to be honest with you. The only reason you've gotten to this position in the company, the only reason you're making this much money, is because Daisy put in a good word for you. What? I was stunned. I had worked my fingers to the bone, brought in so many clients, and was the top salesperson month after month. And now my boss was telling me I owed it all to Daisy? Was this a joke? Negotiating with clients, creating proposals that won them over, I did all of that myself. For him to dismiss all my achievements with one sentence and say I rode Daisy's coattails, I was speechless. My boss ignored my shock. You know, Daisy is one of our biggest clients. If you can't handle your relationship with her properly, I won't be able to keep you in this position. Was he firing me? I was so angry I laughed. I haven't done anything wrong. You should think this through. Firing me will have consequences like a severance package. The company wouldn't collapse without me, but my contributions over the years were undeniable. I thought my boss would reconsider. Instead, the very next morning, he had someone else take over my work. The deal I was currently working on was with a huge company from Germany. I had calculated the commission, and it was substantial. Now my boss was handing the fruits of my hard work over to someone else. I was demoted to the logistics department. Going from $150,000 a year to less than $30,000 was a massive drop. I wasn't an idiot. I knew what was going on. Daisy. We had already broken up, and she was still pulling strings to mess with me. Her pettiness was a new low. I didn't understand why she was so bent on destroying me. She was with Evan, the man she supposedly loved. I was no longer an obstacle to their love. What more did she want? Was it just because I didn't apologize to her precious Evan? This was ridiculous. I hadn't blamed them for being a disgusting pair of cheaters, and now they were coming after me? Seeing Daisy's vindictiveness left a bad taste in my mouth. I was just glad I had gotten out of that relationship when I did. I had already moved out of her place and found a new apartment. I didn't believe she controlled the entire city. She couldn't possibly make every company blacklist me. I handed in my resignation and left. Daisy's perspective. Daisy was furious. She had a good business relationship with Ben's boss. So after Ben ignored her, she went to his boss, hoping he would put some pressure on Ben to make him give in. The price for this was giving his boss a 2-point profit margin on their next deal. She knew how much Ben cared about his job. She was sure he would cave. Daisy waited for Ben to come crawling back. She thought that as soon as he reached out, As soon as he called, she wouldn't even make him apologize. She would just let it go and they would get back together. She had roses and a luxury watch ready as a surprise for him. She had even arranged for a fireworks display. Once they made up, she planned to take him to get their marriage license immediately. She didn't want him to work so hard anymore. He could just stay home, and she would provide him with a comfortable life. She would even have his parents move in with them. Daisy was certain Ben would come back to her. She was wrong. Ben didn't come to her begging for forgiveness. He quit his job. The fact that he quit instead of coming to her made Daisy feel like the situation was spiraling completely out of her control. It was just an apology. He had apologized before, so why was he being so stubborn this time? Daisy realized she didn't know Ben at all anymore. She had been so sure he couldn't live without her, so certain he would be the one to compromise for her. But now, with their wedding date less than 10 days away, Ben showed no signs of wanting to get back together. Daisy had no more leverage over him. After thinking it over, she had no choice but to go back to the home she shared with him. This was the first time she had been back in the half-month since their fight. Opening the door, Daisy thought for a moment that she had gone to the wrong place. The living room was bare. All the furniture and decorations were gone. She rubbed her eyes and double-checked the address on the door before going back inside. It wasn't just the furniture. In the kitchen, the pots, pans, and even the refrigerator were gone. She pushed open the bedroom door. The bed and wardrobe were gone too. What on earth was going on? Daisy's head was spinning. She couldn't understand how all the furniture and appliances could have just disappeared. How was Ben living without them? As she thought this, she noticed a thick layer of dust on the floor. Daisy suddenly realized, in the time she had been angry and staying away, Ben probably hadn't been back either. If he wasn't here, where could he be? Her mind a jumble, she opened the study door. Everything in there was gone too. The desk, bookshelves, and cabinets had all vanished. But on the floor were several cardboard boxes. Daisy opened one and found a printed inventory list inside. The list categorized all the bags, jewelry, and expensive items she had given Ben over the years. So these boxes contained all the gifts she had ever given him? Ben had actually returned all her gifts. Was he really trying to make a clean break and end things for good? How dare he? Daisy's head throbbed. Daisy couldn't afford to play hard to get any more and wait for Ben to come to her. She rushed out of the house in a panic, bought a new SIM card, and called him. This time, Ben answered quickly. His voice was as gentle and cheerful as ever. Hello? Who's this? It's Daisy. What is the meaning of this, Ben? Why is all the furniture gone? And what's with packing up all the stuff I gave you? Hearing Daisy's furious yelling, I frowned and held the phone away from my ear. I paid for the furniture, so it's mine to deal with. I sold it all secondhand. As for the things you gave me, they were always yours. Since we broke up, of course I had to give them back. What do you mean? You really want to break up? Daisy sounded absolutely livid. I didn't know what she was so angry about. She was the one who suggested breaking up. She had already slept with Evan. Did she really expect me to come back? Was I that pathetic? I shot back, what else? Is there any chance of us getting back together? No. Our wedding is just a few days away. Can you stop messing around? Daisy's tone softened. I'm not messing around. A breakup is a breakup. I meant what I said. Daisy really wanted to have a calm conversation, but hearing Ben's cold voice, she lost control again. Ben, I'm telling you, my patience is limited. You'd better quit while you're ahead. If you really push me and we actually break up, you'll be the one crying. I almost laughed. Did she really think I was just sulking? Not a chance. Daisy, I'm not messing around. You're the one who wanted to break up. I just granted your wish. As for the wedding, the moment you had Evan tell me to apologize or we're done, I called the wedding company and canceled everything. You? Daisy was gasping for air, as if she was about to explode with rage. But I had no patience to deal with her anymore. I had an interview for a new job soon. I hung up on her. She immediately called back. It was getting annoying, so I just blocked her. I didn't want anything to do with Daisy ever again. I planned to change my phone number as soon as my interview was over. Daisy's perspective. After being blocked by Ben again, Daisy was seething. He said he had canceled the wedding. She didn't believe him. He must be trying to scare her. She called the wedding planning company to confirm. She expected it to be just a threat, but they confirmed that Ben had indeed canceled the wedding a while ago. The planner told Daisy the exact date the wedding was canceled. Daisy thought back and realized it was the day after their fight over Evan. That's when Ben had called to cancel, without even asking for the deposit back. So he had decided to leave her that early on? And what was she doing at that time? She was confidently waiting for him to come and apologize. Daisy was about to lose her mind. She demanded to know why the wedding company hadn't called to inform her. The planner replied, "You gave Mr. Ben full authority over the wedding planning. You specifically told us not to contact you." Daisy was speechless, consumed by a powerless rage. Just then, Evan called. Daisy answered impatiently, "What now?" Evan was taken aback by her harsh tone. Daisy had never yelled at him like that before. He said pitifully, "Daisy, I'm not feeling well." Before he could finish, Daisy cut him off. "If you're not feeling well, call a doctor." "Why are you calling me? I'm not a doctor." Evan was dumbfounded. Controlling himself, he asked again in a soft voice, "Daisy, did something happen?" Daisy ignored him and hung up. Evan's face twisted in a snarl. "Damn it. She hung up on me. I'm so pissed." Once Daisy confirmed the wedding was canceled, she started to panic. She couldn't afford to be arrogant anymore. The most important thing now was to find Ben and explain things to him face to face. But he had changed his number and moved. No one knew where he was. Daisy thought about calling his parents to ask where he was. But then she realized she didn't even have their phone number. In all the years they had been together, she had never paid much attention to his family. She had been so sure that Ben would never leave her that she had completely ignored his family. Now she had no way to find him. Things were spiraling out of her control. Compared to losing Ben for good, her pride meant nothing. Daisy swallowed her pride and started messaging their mutual friends, asking if anyone knew where Ben was. After asking around, it turned out no one had his new number, and no one knew where he had moved. Daisy was going crazy. She went home completely dejected. Evan heard her come in and greeted her. "You're back. You must be hungry. I had the housekeeper prepare dinner." "Not hungry," Daisy said, slumping onto the sofa. Evan sat down beside her cautiously. "Did something happen? You don't look well." Daisy leaned back, exhausted. Ben canceled the wedding. Hearing this, a flicker of joy passed through Evan's eyes, but he put on a surprised expression. "How is that possible? Maybe there's a mistake? Ben loves you so much. How could he bear to cancel the wedding?" "Yeah, he loves me so much, so why would he cancel the wedding? I don't get it either. I had a custom ring and a tux made for him as a surprise, and this is what he does to me." The thought made Daisy even angrier, and she slammed her fist on the sofa. Evan flinched and didn't dare get too close. He ventured, "Maybe he's just trying to scare you? He knows you love him, so he's pulling this stunt to make you give in?" Daisy turned to look at him. "You think he's playing hard to get?" "Exactly. Otherwise, it makes no sense for someone who loves you that much to suddenly cancel the wedding. Daisy, if Ben is really trying to manipulate you like this, you need to be careful. You have to." Daisy stared at Evan, her gaze turning icy. Evan had been about to suggest a way to undermine Ben, but her look stopped him short. "Daisy, what's wrong? Go on. Why did you stop? What do I have to do?" Daisy asked him word by word. Her stare made him nervous. He stammered, I. As Evan stammered, Daisy jumped up and kicked over the coffee table. "Evan, haven't I been good enough to you? What the hell is your problem? Do you want me and Ben to break up? What do you get out of it?" Daisy glared at him like he was an enemy. Evan was flustered and could only start crying. In the past, a single tear from him would have made Daisy extremely worried. But now his tears had no effect on her. She looked at him with disgust. In that moment, it suddenly hit her that every single fight she'd had with Ben was because of Evan. She had never really thought about their arguments before, but just now it was like a light bulb went on. There were no unsolvable problems between her and Ben. She loved him and he loved her. She swore she had never been with another man, and she was sure he hadn't either. So why were they constantly fighting? It was all because of the man in front of her. She hadn't thought about it deeply before, but now, looking back, she saw how wrong things were. She had ditched Ben countless times to take care of Evan, an outsider. She blamed Ben for not being more understanding. She gave the gift meant for Ben to Evan. She got angry at Ben because of Evan's dietary restrictions. What had she been doing? How could she be so cold and cruel to the man she loved? All for Evan. The more Daisy thought about it, the more unbelievable it seemed. Was she cursed? Seeing Evan weeping in front of her didn't make her worried like before. Instead, she was filled with utter disgust. Daisy gave Evan an ultimatum. Get out of my house right now. Go back to your own place, and don't ever bother me again. Evan was stunned, staring at her in disbelief. Daisy looked at him coldly. Don't make me say it again. Evan was kicked out by Daisy, humiliated. He stood outside, grinding his teeth. This was so embarrassing. How could Daisy treat him like this? He didn't dare blame her, so he directed all his hatred towards Ben. It was all because of Ben. Damn it. Just you wait, Ben. Ben's perspective. I got a new job and went on a business trip to Europe with my new boss. The trip lasted 20 days. I was so busy that I didn't think about Daisy even once. So, when I saw her waiting for me at the airport after I landed, I was completely shocked. Daisy reached out to take my hand. Ben, I'm here to take you home. Wait, we broke up, I reminded her. But she denied it. No, we didn't break up. It was my fault before, and I'm sorry. Ben, it was all my fault. I know you don't like Evan, so I made him move out. He won't be in our lives anymore. I promise. I was stunned by her complete change of tune. Her hand was insistently trying to grab mine, but I stepped back to avoid her touch. Daisy, we really did break up. You should know me by now. When it's over, it's over. I don't go back to my exes. It's dirty. Ben, I know I hurt you before. I swear I'll never treat you like that again. Please forgive me. Okay? If she had been this sincere and humble before, I might have softened. But now I knew I wouldn't, because Daisy was tainted. Looking at her deeply affectionate expression, I thought of the video Evan had sent me. I just felt sick. Daisy, don't you think you're being fake? You're asking me to get back together. But what about Evan? There's nothing between us. I just felt sorry for him. That's why I took care of him. I was just helping my sister look after him. So you slept with him to help your sister too? What did you say? Daisy stared at me in shock. Her expression didn't look fake. But I didn't believe a single word she said anymore. After all, the moment she chose to stand by Evan's side, to ignore me, to sleep with him, she had already cut me out of her life. Before Daisy could deny it again, I calmly took out my phone and played the video Evan had sent me. After watching it, Daisy stumbled back, her face a mask of disbelief. Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. This has to be a misunderstanding. I'll go find Evan and have him explain it to you in person. She took a few steps back, pulled out her phone, and dialed Evan's number. He answered quickly. Before Daisy could even start questioning him, she heard his joyful voice on the other end. Daisy, I'm going to be a dad. The phone slipped from her hand and fell to the floor. She stood there stunned for a long moment before bending down to pick it up. The call with Evan had already disconnected. Now another number was flashing on the screen. It was her mother. Daisy answered, her voice hoarse. Mom, get to the hospital quickly. Your sister is awake. When Evan got a copy of Daisy's physical exam report, he breathed a sigh of relief. He knew she would be shocked to hear he was having a child. He knew she wouldn't accept it right away, but that was fine. He had a foolproof plan to make her fall into his trap. With this plan, he was sure Daisy wouldn't be able to escape his grasp. He would make her accept this child. Evan checked himself into the hospital, claiming he was overwhelmed by the news and emotionally exhausted, and waited for Daisy to arrive. He thought she would come to the hospital to see him right away, but a full day and night passed, and there was no sign of her. This wasn't what he had expected. Where did things go wrong? Panicked, Evan picked up his phone and called Daisy again. He heard her ringtone from the doorway, and then the door opened. Seeing Daisy, Evan's expression immediately changed to one of pitiful vulnerability. "Daisy, you're here." Daisy didn't speak. She walked silently to his bedside and stood there. The heavy atmosphere around her scared him a little. He flinched and began to speak, his eyes welling with tears. "Daisy, what happened that night was a misunderstanding. You thought I was Ben. I didn't want to tell you afterwards. I was going to keep it a secret. But now you're going to be a mother." Evan choked up. "I never thought this would happen. But the doctor said I have a very specific condition, and it'll be very difficult for me to have my own children again. Daisy, what should I do? I really don't want to make things hard for you, but I'm a man. I really don't want to have any regrets. So Daisy, can you keep this baby for me? Promise. I promise I won't bother you and Ben. I'll take the baby abroad and stay far away from you." Evan had gotten a doctor to forge a medical report for him. He knew Daisy was kind-hearted and would agree to his request out of pity. But in the next second, Daisy's hand shot out and closed around his throat. She said, word by word, "You bastard. You think you're so smart, don't you?" The pressure on his neck made it hard for Evan to breathe. His eyes widened as he tried to pry her hand off, but her grip only tightened. Evan felt like his neck was about to snap. Through the suffocating pain, he heard her ask, "You bastard. You were in love with me from the start, not my sister, right? How could that be? How did she know?" Evan was horrified. He wanted to speak, to deny it, but her hand was clamped so tightly around his throat that he couldn't make a sound. He heard her cold voice again. "Because I wasn't interested in you, you settled for my sister. You orchestrated her car accident just to get to me, and then you played the part of the weak, pitiful victim to get my sympathy. You have a heart of poison." Daisy knew everything. How could she know? Evan shook his head frantically, but she seemed oblivious to his pain and denial. Then, just as suddenly, she let go. Fresh air rushed into his lungs. He was alive. Evan gasped for breath. The next moment, he was dragged from the hospital bed. Daisy pulled him onto the floor, yanked the sock off his foot, and stuffed it into his mouth. She stepped on his hair, pinning him to the ground. Then he saw her raise a metal rod and bring it down hard on his abdomen. The sound of the rod hitting his stomach was a dull thud. Pain contorted Evan's face. Daisy struck him again and again. He couldn't scream. His face was ashen. He felt like his insides were being smashed. He felt a warm liquid soaking his pants. Finally, the pain was too much and he passed out. He didn't know how much time had passed before he regained consciousness. He struggled to open his eyes and found himself on an operating table. A doctor took off his mask and looked at him with pity. "Your spleen was ruptured. We had to remove it." A mournful cry escaped Evan's lips. "No." Epilogue. I heard news about Evan and Daisy again 3 months later. Evan was sentenced to prison for attempted murder. He appealed the verdict, causing a scene in court. He revealed his sordid affair with Daisy and claimed that she had assaulted him, causing him serious injury. The court investigated, but the findings were completely different from his claims. He had pre-existing medical conditions, and doctors provided a detailed diagnostic report. Evan claimed the report was fake, but no one believed him. His spleen had been removed, and no one could prove it had been healthy beforehand, especially with the doctor's report on record. Evan was devastated. The report was one he had originally forged himself to trick Daisy into taking responsibility for him. He had sown the wind and was now reaping the whirlwind. Evan couldn't accept it. He had fallen for Daisy, but when she rejected him, he settled for her sister. But right before their wedding, he paid someone to tamper with her sister's brakes, causing the accident that left her in a coma. He used his position as her brother-in-law to get close to Daisy and win her affection. He wanted more, so he did everything he could to create conflict between me and Daisy, hoping to take my place. The one thing he didn't count on was Daisy's sister waking up. After I broke up with her for good, Daisy finally came to her senses. Evan ended up with a severe internal injury, a false hope of fatherhood, and a 15-year prison sentence for attempted murder. Evan was not resigned to his fate. After all his careful planning, he couldn't accept this outcome. He leaked all the intimate photos and videos of him and Daisy online. The scandal caused a huge uproar. Daisy's reputation was ruined, and even her family's company was affected. Hearing about their downfall brought me no joy. They were no longer part of my life. After leaving Daisy, I found a better job and was transferred to Europe. I had been in Europe for 3 months when I received a call from her. She asked me, "Ben, can we be together again?" I really know I was wrong. I didn't answer. I just silently hung up the phone.